everybody, this is Dianne. I would like to say greetings from the monsoon, and still I smile.
And this is Marnell, and reminding everyone to fake it till you make it, baby.
And this is Biters.
Biters, Season 8, Episode 2, The Walking Dead. The Damned.
Yeah, this episode was called The Damned. Well, so, did you like it?
I did. I liked it 0.1 more than last week's episode.
So what does that make it?
4.2 magic longbows.
I really like that chick. She is not the character of the week, but I really like her. She may be a future cast member of the week.
Well, her name is Dianne.
I know, and she spells it right, too.
Well, and the reason why I say magic longbows is because those two guys got hit in the head with her arrows in rapid, quick succession.
I didn't realize that until you just said that, but nearly simultaneously.
You can't do that with a longbow. So unless there was another archer there that we did not see,
Which
also
is possible.
It is possible because there is another archer.
And we did see archery practice at the Kingdom last season.
Right, but it kind of seemed like they were just relying on her skills.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. So maybe it's a magic longbow. I don't know. But the longbow is the hardest bow to shoot. You might mainly see compound bows and recurve bows, and then of course, Daryl and Dwight have their crossbows.
I was going to say, so what you're saying is she's way cooler than Daryl ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally the longbows don't have sights. They don't even have the little notch where the arrow rests. They have less velocity. They're harder to pull back because they're usually the length of the archer's body. I mean, they're just a really, really difficult contraption compared to the other types of bows. So, yeah, she's pretty deadly with it if she can do what she seemed to do on screen.
Well, I sure hope they keep her around.
Yeah, me too.
This was not a good episode for tertiary characters, so...
No, it was not. What was your rating?
Well, my rating was 4 out of 5 old friends.
So lower than last week.
Yeah, I didn't like it quite as well as I did last week, but I still liked it.
Even with our twist ending.
Well, that's our old friend.
Okay.
And that I loved, and I'm sure we're going to talk tons about that.
Oh, we have to.
So do have some numbers from last week. It was such a bummer. I signed into TV by the numbers today, and the headline was, "The Walking Dead plummets, but still leads." And I was like, So the numbers are, they were down 40% from the season 7 premiere in the 18 to 49 group. So they actually, they had a pretty low premiere.
Everyone had to tune in last season to see who got the bat. Right. You know?
Right. And there was not a big cliffhanger, even though everybody griped about the cliffhanger.
Right. And so, I think everyone had to watch it live last year because, it was going to get spoiled. I stayed off social media for the day. You can't, everyone had to watch that episode, and, they had to watch the first run of it or have it be spoiled. So I don't doubt that it was down 30 to 40% from last season, but, it's The Walking Dead. It's still a juggernaut, even when it's down 40%.
Right, and it was still number 1, even when it was down that much. So, it was 11.4 million total on the same day view. The thing that was second was one of the World Series games, the Yankees versus the Astros, and that was 9.9 million. So it still was quite a bit over the baseball game.
Right.
Or as my friend says, sports ball. And it actually had a really big gain, and that was the big headline, is that it had a gigantic gain in Live Plus 3.
Yeah.
So it actually had a 1.8 million gain in the 18 to 49 group, and overall a 3.6 million gain in the Live Plus 3. So they went up pretty significantly.
Okay, so to put that into perspective, just their gain
was
from
basically
live.
a fear.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
It was basically Fear's rating for same day.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what are you going to do?
Well, I was telling you, and I don't normally do this, but I did read a few reviews of this episode before we podcasted tonight, and I was actually really disappointed. It was badly reviewed, and there were lots of headlines like, "This is how the walking dies, with a whisper, not a scream." I didn't feel that way. I mean, I think it's because I just still love the series so much that they would have to do a lot. There were a couple of Jump the Shark references for this episode.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that is so surprising. Because I didn't read. I read a lot of the stuff, the day after I watch it. And I didn't see a lot of hate on it. There was some hate for some specific scenes, but I mean, we all do that. We all do our own little gripes about,
Right.
Tigers who know the difference between a good guy and a bad guy. Just putting that out there.
But that tiger, even if she is CGI, is pretty amazing.
She is cool. And even pre-CGI, she was on stage with King Ezekiel at the Talking Dead last episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the
tiny little orange kitten.
Yeah, that was pretty
adorable.
cute. Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't see a lot of hate online for it, but I have been seeing a lot of like, when are they going to kill Rick? Is this the season they finally kill Rick? I'm just like a whole lot of like hate for Rick, and I'm like, you guys, like, how quickly the tide turns. Like,
right, the audience is getting very fickle.
I really think that a lot of people are still on the downer from season 7, because season 7 every time our guys tried to get up, they got kicked in the teeth. And I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people probably stuck true to their whole, I'm never watching Walking Dead again after the graphic violence.
Seriously, our former sister-in-law, her kids will not watch it anymore. And they're like, oh, it's just all the same now. It's so boring.
That's life.
All right, so I don't know why, but Siri wants to talk to me about flooring. Flooring and boring. I told them that they were heretics.
Yes. Oh.
All right, so the title, The Damned. Was there a particular reference that I missed?
Well, when King Ezekiel got up from the door being blown open at that urgent care center,
right at the very beginning,
right, he yelled, "The damned are upon us."
Okay,
but because I have to overthink everything all of the time about every show I watch, I kind of had everyone seemed to kind of go through a little bit of hell this episode. So flashing way forward, Daryl and Rick are looking for the guns.
Right. And
Daryl stumbles upon that room where it's a set of bloody handcuffs to a pipe, a dog food sandwich in a tiny room.
Right.
And that was Daryl's hell, And then,
you're pulling in shades of Preacher.
Right. And then Rick kills that guy. And I saw a lot of hate for that, oh my God, like he killed this guy and the guy was a dad and blah, blah, blah.
No, I thought it was great.
The guy attacked him.
Yeah, and I thought it was great.
Yeah, the guy attacked him, and Rick had no choice. He's not Jesus or anything.
Well, and I was going to say, that's the thing that's going to put him on Jesus' side and not Tara's side.
Right. And so Rick kills this guy and then goes into the room and figures out that he's orphaned a baby girl.
Right.
And that is his hell.
Right.
And so I think
he literally looked in the mirror. He literally was forced to look in the mirror and see himself. Right.
And then, the guy's tattoo said, God is grace.
Oh, good for you. I didn't see that.
Yeah, they showed him, kind of his shirt was kind of open, and on his chest he had a tattoo that said, God is grace. And then Rick goes into this room with this baby, and the wall says Gracie, which we assume is the baby's name.
Right.
And so there was a bunch of characters who just had like a moment of hell, and Eric gets shot, and Aaron has to deal with Eric's gut shot, and we're probably going to lose Eric at that point, so Aaron's going to be a widow,
right?
And so everyone kind of had a little bit of hell this episode, and so I kind of think that maybe they were referring to our group as the damned.
Well, and I even took it a little further in the overthink and was basically like,
no,
everybody's right. But I felt like, everybody was ultimately the damned. The dead, right? The saviors, our heroes. I mean, everybody is damned in this world of the apocalypse.
Yeah. I mean, Mara, she was one of the saviors. She was like, they're too chicken to advance on us, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then later on, when one of her dead comrades comes alive, regenerates and comes back, and she was prepared to take on human attackers, but she froze when it comes to the dead. And she said their plan was never advancement. Something like they never planned to advance all along.
Right.
And so they just planned to take out, enough of the saviors in that courtyard to take out the rest of the saviors when they came back. So, that it seemed like she was very prepared to take on Rick's group, or the colonies, but she wasn't prepared to kill, or re-kill her own people, and she lost her life for it,
Okay, this is not my bad, but how do you get that far in the zombie apocalypse and get to be one of Negan's lieutenants, and you freeze at a zombie?
So I read something somewhere today on one of the articles that was like, Negan's group has had to confront people all of the time. They're always pushing around other settlers and things like that. They're always dealing with humans, and they're putting their boot over, somebody's face. They don't really have to fight the dead one-on-one. They've always had, underlings to do that, or they've had weapons, that they don't have to get close up, and they've been very protected from the zombie apocalypse. So that's the only thing I can think. And then to have one of your people come back and be confronted with that, let alone just some random walker from nowhere.
Yeah, I don't buy it. I don't buy that you can get that far in the zombie apocalypse and not have dealt with that in some way, shape, or form.
I don't either. That was just somebody else. But that could be the Scott Gimple explanation, which I don't know what to buy.
We're just starting out with rotting potpourri tonight, aren't we? Well, so very quickly, I'm not going to belabor our writers because it was Matthew Negrete and Channing Powell, who we have seen multiple times before. I do think it's really cool that they are still here and still writing and still bringing it. And they did get a shout out from Scott Gimple on Talking Dead. But the director is a woman named Rosemary Rodriguez. And she actually, oh my God, can you hear Smalls crying?
No.
Good. He's locked out in the rain because he was being a jerk.
Next time he'll go in the kennel.
I'm totally digressing, and you all will hear this because I'm too lazy to edit. Anyway, going back. So Rosemary Rodriguez, she was our director. So she actually only has 2 Walking Dead credits. This one, and she directed Sing Me a Song last year, which is the one where Negan forced Carl to sing.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So she...
I just remember from that episode where, he forces Carl to show him the socket that,
oh, right.
Carl has no eye.
Right.
Oh. Yeah.
So anyway, it's pretty cool that she brought us a couple of good episodes. Her previous credits, she has a bunch of credits for The Good Wife, which I know is really well reviewed. I've never watched it, but I know that it's got a pretty loyal following. She has one episode of Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones.
Yes, which I just love that series.
Me too.
She actually has recently worked on the reboot of The Tick, which I don't know if you ever watched the original series, but it was great.
I did not.
Oh my God. The original was so much fun. We tried to watch the reboot, and we are just such diehard fans of the original that the reboot was disappointing, and I haven't really watched it, but she's worked on that.
A couple episodes of one episode of Elementary.
Which I don't know that series.
It's the one where Lucy Liu is not Lucy Lawless. We've been through this. Lucy Liu plays Watson, and
okay.
Johnny Lee Miller plays Sherlock Holmes, and it's kind of a modern day adaptation. Yeah.
She also has an episode of Hell on Wheels back in 2013, which of course is her connection to AMC.
Right.
So, and that was fairly early in Hell on Wheels.
Probably one that I saw. I think I watched the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, I've watched the first 4 seasons, and I need to finish it because I really did love it. And, you know, what's not to love about Anson Mount and a bunch of horses with great tack?
Well, and I am a fan of Common.
Yes, he was awesome in that series.
Yeah, I really like him.
Yeah.
So I need to go, because he was just starting to get big in the series when I stopped watching.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, and luckily AMC has started putting their episodes of Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead online streaming, and you don't have to have a login, so I can bypass my local cable provider not carrying AMC now.
Do you get good enough reception that you can do that? I actually tried to do that when I was in Seattle, and it was not... It just was slow.
There's a little bit of a blip between when they have their online commercials. Like the screen will go to black for the first few seconds of when it comes back from their commercials. And then there is absolutely no rewinding or pausing. Do not even try. Like you have to start the episode all over again. And you don't find that out until the first time you do that, 15 minutes into the episode.
Been there, done that?
Yep. But I am able to watch it, you know, without my local cable provider carrying AMC. So I'm very grateful for that.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I figured we would make a quick detour to featured cast member, and it is Morales. Oh, are you still there?
I am still here.
I just shouldn't try to do multiple things while I'm podcasting. That's just not good. So Morales is played by a guy. Good Lord, I can't speak either. A guy named Juan Gabriel Pareja. I hope I'm saying his name correctly.
Better than I would.
He actually was just Juan Pareja when he did the season 1 episodes.
Huh.
It looks like he's had pretty steady work. He hasn't had, like, you know, big characters, but he's had pretty steady work since 2010. He was in a Amazon original series called Goliath that apparently is still going. But here's the kind of cool thing. So his connection to Frank Darabont and to probably what brought him into the series was he played a character in The Mist. Which was the Stephen King miniseries that was directed by Frank Darabont.
The miniseries.
Yeah.
Okay.
And his character was named Morales. Which I thought was kind of funny. So I don't have tons about him. I don't have tons about the actor other than saying that I was really pleasantly surprised by the plot twist, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it. But I just wanted to make him our featured cast member of the week.
Excellent.
So lay it on me, sister. What's your good?
My good is Morales being back. Who saw that coming?
Well, so, I mean, we kind of did, right? Because we were talking about maybe he's the crossover in Fear the Walking Dead. So we kind of all were thinking that was a possibility. I will be very honest and say I did not see it coming in this series.
Right. You know, there's been a lot of speculation, and I'm still set on Abe being the crossover character, but this may be how, because when we last saw Morales, he and his wife and his 2 children were heading to Birmingham, Alabama.
Right, they left right after the attack on the camp.
Right, which I think that they were headed west. Maybe not. Maybe.
Yeah. So if you're leaving Atlanta and you're going to Alabama, you're headed west.
Right. So what happened to his wife? What happened to his kids? How did he get turned around and wind up back east and north? So there's just so many unanswered questions, and do they tie over with the crossover?
And so that was one of the things that I wrote down, is maybe he still is the crossover character, and he kind of got swept north by Eugene and Abraham and Rosita.
I'm like, how did this come about without even a whisper on Twitter? Because every time, they go for filming any big series like The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones or things like that.
Right. There's totally people who are spying on them.
Paparazzi are staking out the airports, and they're seeing who's flying in. So how did he get in there? How did he get to set without anybody, spoiling it? Like, I'm so amazed. I'm so happy about it. Like, I genuinely love to be surprised by this kind of thing. So, my good is Morales being back. I mean, it sucks that he's a savior and he's, has zero chill with Rick.
And did you get the feeling that he knew that Rick was behind all of their problems? I mean, he immediately was like, "Hey, Rick."
Yeah, he was not surprised to see Rick. Rick was surprised to see him.
Yes.
So, like I said, I read a lot of the articles the day after, a lot of the other reviews and like things that people spied. And I think that I found something that nobody else has found. And I'm going to totally be corrected by somebody who's going to be like, no, so-and-so said it first. But when Rick walks into Morales' room and goes up and takes the picture...
Is it a picture of Morales' family?
I think it is.
I think it is too.
Look behind Rick. What do you see on the wall?
I don't know. I didn't look.
Okay, there's 2 nets and some fishing poles. What
is
does
it
that
Andrea
tell you?
And Amy's fishing poles?
I think that maybe the women, the girls, his wife and his 2 daughters are in Oceanside.
Oh.
Maybe that is how we get Morales to come back by, like, maybe he left Oceanside, because there's not very many men in Oceanside, and they said that the saviors killed all their men or took all their men or something like that, and so they ran away, and so I kind of think...
wouldn't know Tara, and Tara was the only Tara and Heath were the only people who... Well, no, because our group came to Oceanside.
Right, they took all the guns, but I think Morales... I think he's like a spy or something for Oceanside. That's how he's keeping his wife and daughter safe, or that kind of thing. If Negan ever gets wind of Oceanside, he can warn them. I really hope that Morales is going to turn out to be good, and I kind of... that the netting and the fishing poles can't be arbitrary. Those were placed behind Rick in that pivotal scene. That's got to mean something.
Okay, that was a very good find. I totally did not see that.
And, from what I could see online, I don't think anybody else really took note of it either.
I hope you're right. That would be really cool. And that would be a good explanation for why Morales is where he is.
I don't know if I'm completely right, but there is an Oceanside tie-in.
Well, and we need to get back to them. There's got to be an Oceanside tie-in, and that would be an interesting way to bring them back in.
Right. Wife and 2 girls. So, that Oceanside is full of women and children.
Which, by the way, I stand corrected. So Oceanside actually is in the comics.
Yes.
I've done a little bit of reading in the comics again. I'm still not...
Do they call it Oceanside?
I think they do. I haven't gotten there yet, but they were talking about Saeed, who is the character that was introduced to us last week.
We think, yes.
We think. And it sounds like Saeed has a connection to Oceanside, but I have not read that part of the comic book yet.
Okay.
So
yeah. So my good was Morales and the things that it brings back and the things that it could pull in.
And the complications that it creates.
Yes. Like I said, zero chill for Rick all of a sudden.
Right.
Yeah. So, what was your good?
My good was Morgan losing it. So
he really did.
I kind of feel like we are seeing Morgan from Clear.
Yes.
And
I've seen that comparison.
I am not sure what triggered him. I don't know if it's just being back in the battle. I don't know. It seemed like he was really triggered when he was at the fence rattling and getting the zombies distracted.
Yeah.
But we definitely are seeing Morgan lose it. And one of the reviews that I read was basically like, oh, and then Jesus snaps him out of it and wins, and isn't that lame? And I was like, I don't think Jesus wins. I think maybe he has momentarily brought Morgan back to reality, but I don't think Morgan is with us any longer.
What was his "I don't die" comment? Like,
right?
What's that supposed to mean?
Well, I mean, I do think that, and maybe this is some residual psychosis, I think that he definitely has this I'm invincible, I don't die thing going on. And I think that when I don't know if he passed out. I don't know if he was faking being dead. I'm not quite sure what that was all about. But the look that he had on his face when he opened his eyes and looked at the two, I'm assuming they're Alexandrites, who were dead next to him.
Yeah, I think their names are like Freddie and Andy or something. They were in the memoriam, yeah.
He looked stunned.
I almost thought that it looked like somebody had flipped a switch in him,
right?
Where he went into kill mode or something.
I agree. I mean, he definitely, something in him was triggered and brought out the Morgan that we saw in Clear.
And then
I think it may be a permanent change, and I think that Jesus didn't win. I think Jesus just snapped him back briefly.
Well, and, we were just watching and he stumbled out into the light in the outside of the compound. And it was, my other half was like, why is he photosensitive? And I was like, maybe like he's got shock or the shock is wearing off. 'Cause he was shot. I mean, he did have a wound. I don't know if it was a grazing wound or through and through in his left arm, but he was injured. And I don't know if he fell backwards and got knocked out or he was faking, but, he went into, Terminator mode, and then he gets outside and there's nobody left, there's nobody to shoot. And so I think he just kind of went, topsy-turvy for a second, and the bright light hit him and it kind of snapped him out, but I think it's still there. I think something else could flip that switch.
I agree. And this maybe the big death, because of course there's all this speculation that we're going to have a big death this season, and there certainly is lots of speculation that it's Rick. Maybe it's Morgan. Maybe this is kind of the beginning of the end for Morgan.
Those are the other headlines that I was saying is Morgan is already on borrowed time. And I didn't wind up reading those articles because those are complete speculation, and I have my own opinions about, whether or not Morgan's going to die and whether or not I think that he should die for the progression of the story. And, I think it would be okay this season. If anyone were to die, I would be okay with Morgan dying. It would be sad, but, I don't think anything tops Glenn dying.
Except maybe Rick.
Yeah, Rick or Daryl. Rick or Daryl. Because, even if Maggie died, you're like, oh, well, now her and Glenn are together.
I don't know that I'd go that far.
But, so a lot of people are speculating that Morgan is on borrowed time, so.
Well, and I mean, he really has been since season 1, but I don't know. I would be sad to lose Morgan. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him. I'm not really excited about the thought of Morgan being on borrowed time.
I think one of my problems with Morgan, I think one of the reasons why I'm like, I'd be okay to lose him is him and Carol last season with that whole I'm not going to kill anyone bit. I was over that before it started.
So she seems to be pretty much on board too.
Yeah. No one's getting by without killing, except of course for Jesus.
Well, yeah, we'll see how long that lasts.
Hopefully not long. Which takes us into our bads.
Okay, go ahead, because it sounds like that might be part of your bad.
Jesus saved. That was awful. Who did not see that guy turning on Jesus? Like, I don't know why Tara let him get away with that BS.
Well, so here's the thing, and this is my bad also, because it was actually shades of Jesse and Tulip. I was like, oh my god, the division between Tara and Jesus. Mom and Dad are fighting in front of the kids. Mom and Dad are fighting. I mean, they can't do that. They can't not have a united front while they are in the middle of this pitched battle.
That, and you know, it was... he had his hands up and he was unarmed, but he's still a savior, and you're there. Like, I don't know why any of them hesitated, because Morgan and the other two guys hesitated after they shot the first guy in that room, and they wound up dying for it. Jesus hesitates, and so does Tara, killing the one guy, and, you know, they both nearly get killed for their trouble, and I just, you know, you're there to take them out before they can A, kill you, or B, warn that, you know, Rick's group is on the move. And I don't understand Jesus' reasoning.
So what's kind of interesting, and Alana Masterson alluded to this a little bit on Talking Dead, you know, Tara
They were adorable on Talking Dead.
They were pretty funny. Tara was on the wrong side too. I mean, when we met Tara, she was with the governor. So it's interesting that she doesn't have the weakness that Jesus has. Because you would actually think that she would be more of the people can change, people can make mistakes. I know, I've been there, I did that.
That was before she lost
Denise. Yes.
You know, I think she still harbors a lot of bitterness over that, understandably so. And then, you know, everything that Negan's group has done. I mean, she pretty much changed her mind about the governor when the governor decapitated Herschel. And, you know, to start off her meeting with Negan and his group with, you know, with Lucille, I really think that, you know, it's two different.
That's kind of shades of the governor too.
Yeah, I think she's like, I can't be on these guys' side no matter what. Like, I don't care what sob story they tell me. Like, yeah.
Okay, so since you took my bad, I'm going to bring this up here too, even though it's kind of writing potpourri. So one of the reviews that I read today was like, Walking Dead's going to make the same big mistake that it made in season 6. And I was like, what are they talking about? So it basically was like, you know, and you and I are good allies. I really honestly think that you and I are good allies. Yes, I'm getting political again. They basically, the person who wrote the article was saying, you know, they're brushing off gay characters. They're making it so gay characters can never live happily ever after. Look at what they did to Tara and Denise. Now they're doing it to Eric and Aaron. And I thought, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. This is the zombie apocalypse. Nobody lives happily ever after.
No, not at all.
It doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is. Nobody lives happily ever after.
No, I mean, how many girlfriends has Rick lost?
Right? So,
yeah,
that's my rant. That wasn't my bad, but it can be my bad.
Yeah, that was a terrible article.
It was a terrible article. I was like, you know, please, we have so many divisions in our country right now. Do you really have to say that The Walking Dead is hating on gay people? I don't think it is. It's hating on everybody. I was going to say, if anything, The Walking Dead is like equal opportunity hate. Right. Right. Everybody gets to be miserable. I'm miserable. You're miserable. Everybody's miserable. We're the damned. Right. We are The Walking Dead. So. You're ugly. My ugly. So I'm gonna diverge a little bit here. If anyone's a fan of South Park, they totally make fun, and I can't remember the show, but they make fun of
it might have been Dallas that they were making fun of, but they like had a season-ending cliffhanger where it was like, who's Cartman's dad? And then they come back the next season after like, 3 or 4 month hiatus, and they just completely skip over what happened in the cliffhanger ending and like go in a completely different direction and don't talk about it. And it annoys everybody to the point they have to readdress it. And I think they did it on purpose so that it would annoy everyone and they would talk about it. And, it was a ploy from the start. But I am so annoyed that we had the cliffhanger with Negan and Father Gabriel, and they showed nothing this episode.
I think that's really fair. I was like, so this episode was a little clunky,
very clunky.
There was a lot of action, but it was kind of disjointed, and I really needed to watch it a second time to really understand everything that was going on.
Yes.
So I agree. I mean, for an action-packed episode that was actually a bit clunky, it was disappointing to not hear, to not know anything about Gabe and Negan. I suspect we'll probably see that next week.
What they're doing is they touched on it a little bit on The Talking Dead, where this episode pretty much picks up right after episode 1 ends. And so all of this is taking place within a couple of hours. This is the same day. We haven't gone through a night. Nobody's slept. And so what they're trying to do, they keep flitting back and forth between the different groups doing stuff. And it was a little hard to track sometimes because if you took your eyes off the screen for a second, they flashed on, Jesus and Tara and Dianne and Morgan. And then they would go back to Aaron's group shooting at the saviors in the courtyard. And then they would flip back to Jesus. And it was a lot of back and forth very quickly. And they're trying to show that all of this is happening at the same time. Rick and Daryl are trying to get the guns, and Aaron's group is shooting up the saviors in the courtyard, and Jesus's group is trying to take out the radio station or whatever the big satellite dishes are. So this is all happening at once. King Ezekiel and Carol are doing their thing. Like, everything's happening at once, and they're trying to convey that. And it does come off as very, very clunky. And at the same time, I would like to know what's going on with Negan and Father Gabriel, and if Gabriel's pooping in his pants.
I saw the article you posted on Biters, by the way. The fan theory about Negan and Gabriel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have something to kind of touch on, in our writing potpourri about that too. So, but yeah, so my ugly was that we did not get to see Negan and Father Gabriel as simultaneously as we're seeing everybody else go through what's going on simultaneously. So I would like to know, and it doesn't even look like maybe in the next episode with the next time on with it, we touch on it there either. So I'm dying to know, what is going on in that room.
See, I didn't watch the preview, so I don't know.
Yeah. They don't show it at all in the preview. Not to say that it's not going to happen in the next episode. Maybe they're holding it a little bit back, but I'm just very, very annoyed that we know what's going on with just about everybody except for them. And those are the ones that I'm really curious about.
Maybe, I hope they don't stretch it out like this, but maybe that's going to end up being the mid-season finale.
Oh.
I hope they don't wait that long.
That would be 6 more episodes. You realize that, right?
That would be bad.
Yeah.